Eddie House, Amina Smith here with you. And the Celtics lose this one to the Toronto Raptors, 137-134. And we heard Celtics interim head coach Joe Mazzulla say before this matchup, they're going to play it as close to a regular season game as possible. A very scrappy matchup out there, Eddie. But what was the most encouraging thing you saw from this Celtics team in this game?
Well, just when the guys were out there, the starters, while they were out there, just looking at their spacing offensively, how they were able to create shots for one another, how they were able to just get downhill when they wanted to. Nothing was really rushed offensively. Also defensively, the way they were buzzing around early. The only knock I could say that they had defensively was closing out the possession with the rebound and giving up offensive rebounds. But that's going to happen when you're playing with a smaller lineup, and they'll understand that you have to play with a little bit more effort and put an extra effort when it comes to rebounding when you're small. But besides that, Jaylen Brown was star of the preseason, played extremely well. I just like the way his intensity from the start of the game kind of bled into the rest of the guys. And
the Raptors' long, athletic team, just where did they challenge the Celtics the most in this matchup? Because I feel like they had some trouble throughout this game.
I just think their length bothered a couple guys. I think Sam Hauser was having a problem getting this clean shot tonight. They were there contesting it, and sometimes they got deflections. And just they're long, they're athletic, they're rangy, they play with a lot of energy. I think that was the main thing that they did. They played with so much energy and especially attacking the offensive glass. And I think that's one thing that they have to understand, the Celtics, is when they do play the Raptors, you got to be aware of that.
And it was a wild sequence at the end of that third quarter. Jayson Tatum gets his second technical foul, gets ejected from a preseason game, which, Eddie, was completely insane when I was looking at the TV watching that. Then Grant Williams also gets a tech in that sequence. Just what was your reaction to how that played out, and especially it being a game that really does not matter to the regular season?
Well, I'm looking at that ref. It's a ref I haven't really seen before, and I don't think we're going to see too much of him in big games. I think he just got himself to the shelf. He won't be reffing any big games because you cannot do that, especially with a specialty game like this. Being in Montreal, you got people that haven't watched the Celtics play before, haven't seen this. Basketball, the NBA is there, and you take the star player out. That's just not – I mean, I don't care. As long as he's not throwing punches, you can't throw him out the game. You have to have the star players out there. That's what these people pay to see.
Yeah, see, I thought it was a situation where, sometimes in an NFL preseason game, they might set the precedent for the rest of the regular season. Could that be something where, maybe the NBA and the ref, they're looking at, okay, well, we don't want guys doing this in the regular season. Could that be the situation? But again, I just don't feel like throwing Jayson Tatum out of a preseason game is the answer to that. But is that a thing?
I mean, that is a thing, but I think that's more on calls. The way that you call in the game, where, we're not allowing too much hand checking. We're not allowing certain actions to happen, and we want to kind of check those situations, but not, all he did was kind of wave him off like that. And that doesn't warrant a technical foul in my book. I think we've seen a whole lot worse. Go back to the finals with what Draymond was doing, and they were allowing him to get away with it, recognizing that he had one technical foul and didn't want to give him that second one. So I think the refs have to be aware of that.
And Jayson Tatum with 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists in this matchup before he was ejected from this game. But, Eddie, how did Jayson Tatum find ways to impact this team, this Celtics team, in this matchup?
I think at first off, he didn't really have it going shooting the ball from distance. And I think he just got in attack mode. He's seen a few go in easy right around the basket, and then he got into his bag. He was able to start mixing guys up. And when they were getting out in transition, I think getting in transition and be able to free flow with his game and then get to the rim and make easy shots and layups, I think that opens up the whole floor for him. And then his bag is just tremendous. Here it is right here, just being strong. And that's what we've seen with Jayson in this preseason, that he has got a lot stronger. He's able to take the contact, go through the contact, and finish.
And Jayson Tatum always kind of starts the regular season a bit slow. You talked about him showing up slow offensively in this matchup. How concerned does that make you heading into the regular season about Tatum?
Oh, it's not concerned at all, because he can get it going. We see that right there. He started this game off slow, but once he gets going, he's hard to stop. And he has a counterpart, and Jaylen Brown is coming with the energy off rip. As soon as they throw the ball up, he has the most energy out there. He's the guy that's in attack mode the most. So he doesn't have to try to rush into the game. He can allow Jaylen Brown to do his thing, and then Jayson just takes his time and takes what the defense give him, and also making plays for his teammates. I think he made a play for Derek White, who knocked down a shot in the corner. So it's just those type of things. Is find ways to affect the game, not only scoring, but you could do it passing and playing defense as well.
Let's bring in Scal now, who's live out there in Montreal. And Scal, a final preseason matchup that had all the regular season feels. But what was your biggest takeaway after this game?
I mean, the Celtics are good. Obviously, they got to do a better job on the glass. But like the way, when they're at their best, let's call it the Celtics ceiling, it's pretty good. And it's going to be a fun year to watch them, the way they move it. I love how well they play together. I think everyone understands their role. And I'll give credit. We're calling role players, but Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, these guys are making close to $20 million a year. But those guys have an aggressive mindset that I like. They are ready to strike if Tatum and Brown create a shot for them. So I like a lot of the stuff I saw throughout the preseason. Tonight, one of the things is always going to be the rebounding, but we'll just keep our eye out on that. They do a lot of good things on both sides of the ball.
And Scal mentioned the rebounding, the Raptors out-rebounding the Celtics offensively 22-13. Eddie, how did that hurt Boston in this matchup?
Well, it just allowed, because Boston had built a nice lead, and then it just allowed them to get energy, see easy shots go in. They just were outworking them. And then once you get that, you let the floodgates open a little bit. Teams start getting the confidence, start feeling good. They start knocking down shots. And then Scotty Barnes in the third quarter, he was just amazing, kind of put Toronto on his back. But another concerning thing is you look at 19 turnovers for 26 Raptor points. That's another red flag for me. That's something that has to get cleaned up. Not only the offensive rebounds, but you got to take care of the basketball. We know how much it hurt us in the finals last year, and you have to get on top of that and kind of curtail that early. You can't get in the habit of turning the basketball over against any teams, especially really good teams.
Scal, 19 turnovers. We know it's just a preseason game, but why do the Celtics struggle with that so much, even going back to last season?
Some of those offensive fouls, I don't feel like they're as loose with the ball as we've seen in the playoffs, but for sure, you have to understand that what happened last year, we're always going to be hypersensitive to that with this team. Like, there was a moment where the Raptors went on a 13-2 run. Raptors went on a 15-4 run. Yeah, we got to understand that Celtics have to, whatever it is they need to do during those moments, is if that is play two-man game with Tatum and Brown, if that is going back to pushing the basketball and playing a little bit faster, they need to right the ship. Runs happen in the NBA, but you got to try to limit those. You give up one, 13-2 run in a game, that's fine. Today, I feel like the Celtics gave up 3 of them. Now, I know it's a preseason. There's a lot of different lineups out there, and Joe Mazzulla has to sort of lock in what the rotation is going to be, but you can't turn the ball over at a high clip, and you got to rebound. Defend, rebound, low turnover. Those are the baseline things you have to do to be a championship-level team.
I agree. We are a bit hypersensitive to the turnovers, just based off of what we saw last season. All right, thanks so much, Scal.